We must be talking about different things because everyone loves Dark Souls.
You'd be surprised.
Anyway, so yeah, Dark Souls 3 is going to be my topic. Came out earlier this week. I picked it up. I've only been able to put in about 4 or 5 hours or so. So, that's not a ton of time. At the end of the day, I'll probably end up putting in 60, 70 before I'm done with this game, right? But after only a couple hours, I think I put enough to get an idea of what this game is, and how it compares to the other games in the Souls series. So really quick, I played Dark Souls 2, and Bloodborne. I never did Demon Souls. That's on the to-do list, is to get a PS3 one day and go back and play Demon Souls. But anyway, Dark Souls 3 so far, I absolutely love it. It's from someone who Dark Souls 1 is probably one of my favorite games of all time. Dark Souls 2 was really good, but overall definitely disappointing. And I really like Bloodborne as well, but it's just not the same. Like in Bloodborne, I missed the all the stats and all the RPG elements that it got stripped down from Dark Souls. So Dark Souls 3.
There weren't enough stats in Bloodborne for you?
No, not even close. I mean, Dark Souls is about like your equip load and like trying to get the right roll speed and every like in your damage, your R1 damage for each left and right weapon and all those like obscure little statistics that even like a single number out of 100 can make a difference in how the game played. Like that stuff is what I love about Dark Souls, and that was all missing from Bloodborne.
Okay.
And then also like the amount of weapons, right? Going into how many different stats there were. There was only a handful of weapons in Bloodborne, whereas Dark Souls, there's tons of different things.
Well, wasn't Bloodborne made to be more accessible to more people? That's
right.
Why it's a little bit, yeah.
I wouldn't say accessible. It's still hard as shit, and it'll kick you in the nuts every time you play it.
The difficulty is, it doesn't shy away from the difficulty, but Bloodborne was more accessible. Like, it didn't have all those intimidating RPG elements. That
I would
it was
say
simpler.
It's still a pretty complicated RPG, in my opinion.
In the grand scheme of things, yes, but compared to Dark Souls, it's simpler.
I got you.
Yeah. So, on to Dark Souls 3. I think it's now, like, if I had to rank them in order, my favorite, favorite to least favorite, it's definitely Dark Souls 1, and then Dark Souls 3 is going to beat out Bloodborne for me, followed by Dark Souls 2, which was just kind of... It had the gameplay, but it had lots of problems. That's a topic for a different day, though. So far, Dark Souls 3 it's extremely difficult, as expected. From the music to the menus to how the game plays, it's obviously much slower than Bloodborne. And I'm glad. I was worried that they were going to have things, the action would be way sped up. You'd be rolling all over the place and flying around and dodging like you do in Bloodborne, and that's not the case here. It's probably still a little bit quicker than the original Dark Souls, but it still has that slow, monotonous feel to it where, like, if you roll, if you make one mistake, like, you're not fast enough to just roll out of the way.
Yeah.
Like you would have been in Bloodborne, right? Like, each move you have to think out much more thoughtfully before you do something than in Bloodborne, where you could zip back really quick with the B button, right? Other than that...
Circle button.
Holy shit.
Do not betray your country.
Oh, man.
B button. Yep, you're right. B button.
Do
Go
not
ahead.
betray your country, man.
So that's it. No, I'm glad you bring it up. So I play on PC. So the performance has been great for me. Frame rate's much better than what people probably experience on console. Again, another topic for another day. We can get into that sometime. But that being said, I use a 360 controller on PC because it's just easier. So for me, it was the B button. But anyway, yeah. So the performance is great. Everything's smooth. It's nice. They have this really cool Resident Evil thing going on with some of the enemies. And Jared, you and I were talking about this earlier. So the first boss you face halfway through the fight, all of a sudden the humanoid-esque boss just transforms and has this alien octopus arm. I don't even know how to describe it. Just bursts out of its head, It's one of those things. If you remember any of the enemies from like Resident Evil 4 and 5, it was, your average like zombie villager guy. But then all of a sudden after a few hits he just sprouts into something crazier.
Yeah.
So that's happening a lot in Dark Souls 3. You'll come upon a mob of just regular low-level enemies, or seemingly low-level enemies, and all of a sudden one will just transform into this huge thing, and then 2 hits you're dead. And it catches you out of nowhere. I mean, all the same tropes of Dark Souls are in this game. Like, you round a corner, and a boulder could roll on you, or one of these enemies could surprise you. Your crossbow enemies are always, up on a ledge from the battlefield, from the bridge where you're fighting 6 other guys, and you also have to dodge this fire dart from this jerk up on this, ledge above you. It's all there. It feels great. This is the first time in a while where when I'm not playing Dark Souls 3 or when I'm not playing a video game, that's all I want to be doing. Right now, I want to close my computer, tell you guys see you later, and go play Dark Souls 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, so far, I'm loving this game. Probably after a couple weeks when I've put in, the 60, 70 hours that I anticipate this is going to take me, unless something, drastic changes or something goes wrong. I can't imagine I'm not gonna like this game or have anything other thoughts than this, but it's great. So
you can probably help me out with this, Dom. Since I fell in love with Bloodborne last fall, I've been thinking about going back and playing Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, 2, and now 3. Would you recommend it to someone who... The reason I like Bloodborne is because it's so fast, because it's got that quick and fun combat. Am I going to hate Demon and Dark Souls?
I mean,
I'm okay with it being hard. I've gotten past that. I've gotten my teeth kicked in, hundreds of times in Bloodborne by this point. So
Dark Souls is slow.
Right.
Yeah, am I going to hate the slow part?
I don't think so. I mean, I think the difficulty is the biggest barrier to entry, obviously, but
yeah.
Yep.
The change in pace, I think, you'll have to get accustomed to it. It's not going to happen right away. And I don't know. Dark Souls 1 is it's so good. It's
change
too
in
good.
pace isn't drastic enough to justify you not playing it.
Yeah.
It's like when we were talking about in a couple of last episodes, there's these like hallmarks in gaming that you need to go back and play, and a lot of them are classic, obviously. But as far as like games that are difficult, but they're not just difficult for difficult's sake, I think Dark Souls is a definite must play. If you liked Bloodborne, I think you'll like Dark Souls. From what I saw of Bloodborne, Dark Souls is obviously Bloodborne on crack as far as like just the imagery in that game is gorgeous. Like some of the stuff that you see in that game, obviously the graphics aren't crazy, but just some of the stuff that they conjure up in that game as far as like the loose storytelling that's not really storytelling is really cool.
Yeah, I do like that part of Bloodborne too, how the story's all shrouded in mystery and you have to go on YouTube just to figure out what's going on.
Read item descriptions and random little things.
Dark Souls has some of the coolest boss battles in a game
that's
outside of like
say.
Shadow of the Colossus. Like some of those bosses you fight in that game are so cool and so iconic and so memorable. Like, that game's so good.
There's nothing else that compares to it, in my opinion. The bosses in Dark Souls 1 are unbelievable. So even in Bloodborne, they were underwhelming to me. I mean, you got a lot of the same, those same like giant dog type creatures, but some of them were cooler. But as a whole, the bosses in Dark Souls 1 they're unbelievable. I want to like meet some of the guys on the art team and the creation teams that that come up with these monsters. It's ridiculous.
The replayability in that game is solid too because there's a lot of little things as far as items and stuff go that you might not know about your first playthrough that can make the game different. Like grinding the dragon's tail at the first part of Dark Souls, Dom, to get the spear, the dragon tail spear, whatever it is.
Let me throw something out there.
Okay.
And Jordan, I'll tell you this: when you do play Dark Souls 1. If you ever look up any tips, early game things or whatever, everyone is going to tell you to do what Jared's talking about right now, which is get a bow and arrow and shoot 100 arrows at this dragon on the bridge so that you can get this awesome sword really early in the game. It works, and the sword is awesome, but don't do it. It ruins the early game experience because you just get this overpowered weapon.
Yeah.
I even need to get back to Bloodborne because I put 100 hours into that game, but I haven't even beat it, and I haven't finished all the Chalice dungeons, so I gotta go do that at some point, and then I'll probably start from Demon Souls and just do the whole series through.
So I think that wraps up our episode 7.
Hail Shuhei.
Amazing chest ahead.
And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.
Thanks again, everyone, for watching and or listening. If you like what you heard, be sure to give those like and subscribe buttons a quick click. Every little contribution can help to make our channel grow.
Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter at CTRLINT. That's Controlled Interest. See you later.